Hello and welcome back to our first episode of Elevate with a McCain Duo series.
This week we're talking to Titus Underwood, oboist of the Nashville Symphony Orchestra, about his Sphinx Medal Award and reinventing yourself during COVID-19. My name is Artina McCain.
And my name is Martin McCain.
And we are here helping you create your best musical life through transformational interviews,
performance content,
and educational tips. This week we can't wait to get started with Titus Underwood, so here's the interview.
Hello everyone. We have the great Titus Underwood here, principal oboist of the Nashville Symphony. Titus, thank you so much for being here.
What's up? How you doing?
We are so happy we got on Titus's schedule.
Oh my God.
Oh, get out of here.
You're all over the place, like national news and yeah.
I'm trying.
One day I'm going to see you on CNN and be like, Titus on CNN.
Oh, God. I'm trying out here.
Right. So clearly we go back, all of us. Titus and I were in school together, and then Martin and Titus have played with Gateways.
Sphinx, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't even know where to start. So Titus, just tell the audience who you are. We know who you are, but just if there's one person that doesn't.
Of course. There's one person that doesn't know.
There might be one.
All right. So I'm Titus Underwood, born and raised in Pensacola, Florida. I'm the principal of the Nashville Symphony. I went to Cleveland Institute of Music. My undergrads with me and Artina went. And then when I had my long dreadlocks and stuff, or locks rather, and then I went to Juilliard for my master's, and then from there I went to Copeland for an AD and a bunch of other stuff in between. Played in Utah Symphony and was at Rice for a little bit and Lynn for a little bit. And now I just, after all of this, landed into principal of Nashville Symphony. I just got my tenure not that long ago. So woo, woo, woo.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it true that you're the first Black principal oboist?
That's tenure, yes. There have been other Black principal oboe players, and one other that I know of that was principal oboe, but he's no longer in the playing business. But I'm the first one to have tenure in a major symphony orchestra. Yeah,
man, like that's huge. So I have to say, because I talked to some people who thought when they were coming up, oh well, I don't have to be the first Black. I don't have to have that pressure. I mean, you are. Like, how does that feel?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to tell you the truth, it was like bittersweet. At first, I was like, bring the team. This 2020, the first. Come on now, we have more Black astronauts. We have more Black people go to space. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking about how can we get past the first, and I really want this conversation to move forward as far as like more Black representation in places, and also like building other things that are independent and Black that we value. It's like the first, full-time Black orchestra. Where that's at? Where's the Black alpha-and-alien of orchestra musicians? You know what I'm saying? So like, I'll be more interested in that than, and that doesn't negate, my jobs. I love my gig. I love playing when I play. I love playing with beautiful music, my colleagues and stuff. But, the first, I wish I wasn't that first in how late it is. That's the thing that bothers me the most is, we should have been way past this. But, I'll take that torch and I keep saying, bring the team, bring the culture. We need more representation. That means that brings more culture into the institution, not just melanin on the stage, but ideas and cultural changes and shifts that should be happening in these orchestras that, sit in every one of our cities. It belongs to the city, so therefore it should reflect the demographic in which the city it sits in.
He's coming out just swinging.
Coming out the gate.
This is why I love having conversations with Titus.
Usually they're private, but this one's public.
That's so awesome. So why the oboe? Like, did the oboe choose you? Did you choose the oboe? How did that turn out?
Well, it's more like my sister told me to play the oboe. So it's like, I'm youngest of 6 kids, pastor's kid, grew up gospel music, we dancing, clapping, laying on the hands from the house, playing that gospel music in the church. So it was more like, what instrument are you going to play? Not, are you going to play an instrument? So at first, I wanted to play saxophone. Then my dad took me to the music local shop, and I was like, that thing's ugly, man. I don't want to play that. But I was obsessed with having a spit valve for some weird reason. I was like, I just want someone to spit valve. Can you want to spit out? So, and my sister was like, you should play the oboe. You're weird. And I was just like, okay, what's that? So she showed me Bronze Valley Concerto second movement, and I fell in love with it. And ever since then, I wanted to play the oboe. And I was like, is it a hard instrument? I want to play a hard instrument. She's like, yeah, it's really challenging. So I walked into the band room, sixth grade when, they signed up. What do you want to play? What do you want to play? When they used to do that back in the day. And I walked in, I was like, I want to play the oboe. They was like, yes, you're an oboe player. And ever since then, it's been the oboe, man. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So what about for kids who, let's talk about kids who maybe are disadvantaged, for lack of a better word, and they really want to get into playing orchestra or band or anything. Like, what advice do you have for them to kind of overcome that challenge and actually find the right mentors and teachers? Because that's something that's really hard, probably in general, but particularly I think in Black communities, it's kind of hard to know, like, who's going to teach me to play the oboe? I don't know anybody. Yeah.
Right. I think, the biggest thing is like, so much music has been taken out of public school. A lot of those things have been defunded. For kids, I would say it would have to go back to the parents and what they demand from their local school district and what they need, or the local church that they're in. Is there some sort of instrument bank that people can have to see where they're used instruments that people can give away? Sometimes they're just instruments that need to be given away. Maybe people can apply for a grant for the instruments to be fixed. How can we Black people in our different communities that we're in, how can we see and get connected to the public school system that's in our communities, or some of the churches that have, the resources to be able to provide, have musical services where kids can come and we give our time and for small fees and stuff like that. I call it the diaspora discount. Like what can we do to really help, Black kids out here? Because I do think that, we've always been a creative people. For a very, very long time. And, acoustic instruments, Earth, Wind, and Fire, these guys and these jazzes and stuff. And, now, we got so inventive that we went into hip hop where you're literally moving a record on a record player. Like that's an instrument. So I think that if we can bring these acoustic things back into there, I take it upon myself to say, what can I do in Nashville myself? Even if it's not just teaching the oboe, but having them see someone like me doing professional music. And also, one thing I want to really, really stress about introducing Black children to music is make sure that some of the first things that they see are Black composers. Make sure that they see themselves. Introduce a little Black girl to Florence Price. Introduce a little Black boy to William Grant Still, Chevalier St. George, whatever. And be like, look, you are part of this canon as well, so it isn't so distancing. And I think when people see themselves within that, I'm throwing out who has the first coloring book of Black composers. I think I've seen some out there where kids can draw them and then learn about them and have them memorize, certain things. And why aren't the melodies that come from their stuff in like different methods that can be like a Suzuki method or like a El Sistema or something that goes for Black kids that shows the idioms that come from their culture. So I do think that there are many ways that we can implement this and have people go into acoustic art forms and learn how to play instruments. And I would encourage us as a community to demand those things that we play more acoustic instruments. But I think it is upon us to really, really see what's going on in our city and see how we can help and what resources we have to connect with people that could do things like instrument banks and stuff like that, where we can have some things fixed up and get kids playing instruments. So, and encourage them to do that and allow them to see themselves in it as well. So I think we're that leading people who say, hey, push more Black composers, show them from a young age what it is. Because I was very proud as a Black person. I played my oboe in church. So like, I was encouraged to do that. I was encouraged to play music. So it was never weird that I played the oboe. No one was like, oh, he plays the oboe. It's so many Black people found out what the oboe was, but me just playing it in church. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knew what that was. So, like, I had my little clip-on mic, my brother on the beefy organ, and all this stuff. I think that it's good to have those sort of examples there, and I think we influence more kids to do it.
Yeah, that's very true. I remember I was playing with the Memphis Symphony, and there was a piece I wasn't playing, and I was sitting out like in the hallway, and like actually Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity was having something in the convention center next door, and the lady saw me in my tux, and she said, "Oh, what's going on here?" I was like, "Oh, it's the Memphis Symphony." And the first thing that she said was like, "Oh, that's not for us." And that's basically, I mean, it was like an older woman, probably, older to be my mother. And that's the first thing when they don't see that many of us in the orchestra. We're conditioned to see that when we're younger. Oh, that's not for us. And so, I mean, that's the nail in the coffin, man. I mean, you got to have more of us on the stage, and then also you have to, start in the schools. I mean, we all have great music education, but I didn't know about William Grant Still until I became a professional.
2 years ago.
Yeah, Margaret Bonds. Like Florence Price. Yeah, I did learn about Florence Price like a few years ago, and that's pretty sad.
Yeah, and it's not just important for us; it's actually important for the academy. Like everybody needs to see different people so that they know it's inclusive. Yeah, yep. So I think that's really important. Oh, so many things. So, Titus, obviously we're in the year 2020 and everybody's talking about it. What have you been doing in this time that has been so tumultuous for arts organizations, artists, and musicians? Because you seem like you're everywhere, so you don't seem like you're hurting, but I'm just curious.
All right. So, I mean, I look at this, people say classical music is dying. No, orchestras are suffering right now. I tell people, when you see a piece of music and you play it and there are enough people in interest of playing it, the music is alive. The music ain't going nowhere. Institutions may restructure. Different things may happen. I think it's time for musicians to really develop new skills that they can bring into the new normal that's happening. I think that we have a lot of MySpace tools, but not a lot of Facebook tools. We still kind of stuck in the old interfacing ways.
Like MySpace? Come on, tell the young listeners. What is MySpace? Come on now, Titus. We got that, but like the 22-year-old is like, what?
That is true. Flickr, Black Planet, go back, those old ones.
Yeah, we're going early 2000s.
I know. I was like, MySpace.
They're like TikTok.
It's a social media platform.
It's a social media, MySpace. But I think it's time for people to really use creative. What is your value outside of an orchestra institution that's there? What is your value as an artist, not as an orchestral title chair? What is, because, there's these hierarchies and stuff that happen. Right now, it's the Wild Wild West. Yep. We all out here. It's just artists. So what do you have to contribute as an entity yourself? So, I've been up to a lot of things. There's a lot of things that's in the works that's here to come. I had the Lift Every Voice project that hit over 1 million something hits, which is crazy. Yeah. So I think that those are the type of things that I was interested in. I'm very interested in mining more of the Black canon. Like what I say is looking for the bangers in the Black canon. Like we're not sitting here playing Tchaikovsky's third all the time. We play his 4, 5, and 6 because that's what people want to hear. So I'm saying, why can't we look for those same bangers within the Black composers' canon? And Black music isn't a monolith. It is just as we have a diaspora of Black music, just like you have Brahms, who's, then you have Mozart, and you have, Handel, and you have, Vaughan Williams and Copland. Like, we're not saying that all of them are the same, or Sibelius. They're not all the same. You were playing European diasporic music. So I am interested in learning the Black diasporic canon, because that's what people try to put it in this one catalog. There's so many different composers come from West Africa and America and Brazil and the Caribbean. There's so much diversity within that. So when we say diversity in Black music, you can do a whole season doing nothing but music from Black African descent people, because there's so much right within that catalog. No one ever says, like, let's do one that's strictly white. They think like, well, we're going to do this Russian program. Then we're going to do German romanticism. Then we're going to play some Bach. No one criticizes and say that, hold up, you're talking about differences within the Western European canon. And I think that should also be celebrated because it's cool music. But I'm saying don't exclude mine. I should also be celebrated. But I always press Black artists, play more Black music. Play more music. You don't need anyone to validate that. Do you find value in that music? We should value that voice, and we should really learn those idioms and really learn how to play that stuff and dig into it. And because there are no recordings there, the even better.
Yep.
Yeah, really start. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You are the first one out there. So that's been my main thing, is finding out what's already been there and what's supposed to have been there, and the things that I think everyone has been robbed, not just Black people, but everyone has been robbed of this beautiful music that should be out there and it should be played. So if we can go, I mean, people find these obscure Beethoven pieces that sometimes don't even sound good. Like Mozart's Second Symphony. Maybe we should put that. Why you put that on the program? So, you know, if you want to give real estate to that, then you should give real estate to some Black composers.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Real estate. Yeah. Whoa, that is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because a lot of people, well, one, you know, they only program Black music in February, but that's like another thing within itself, or June. But they always want to put, you know, oh, it's Black music or from the African diaspora, and is it good? Is like the quality good? And I have an issue with that because just because it's not familiar doesn't mean it's not good. You just have to educate yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. And if Titus is the first Black principal oboist, then we know we're late on a lot of things, okay? Not just that, but also repertoire. So, no, thank you so much for saying that. Yeah. We cannot not congratulate you. You just won the Sphinx Medal of Excellence. Am I saying it right? It's got so many letters in it.
Sphinx Medal of Excellence.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you tell our audience maybe how it came to be? Some of them may not even know who Sphinx is or what Sphinx does. So come on, tell us.
So Sphinx, I mean, it started out as a violin competition, string competition for Black and brown youth to have a platform for them to have a string competition. And then it's grown into multiple things now. I mean, there's audition support, there's audition intensives, there's a conference. You know, there's so many things. There are grants. I have the Medal of Excellence. So it's basically carving out a space for Black and brown people within the arts to be able to have their voice and their platform lifted up, and also huge advocates for us in this space within the orchestral world where we're not necessarily represented in high numbers. And, you know, I received the Sphinx Medal of Excellence, which is their highest award. So thank you, Sphinx. Thank you, Arthur and Aaron. I mean, I'm super humble, grateful, and excited, and still in shock about it. And it also comes with a $50,000 grant, which is also awesome. You know,
Titus is not struggling. The rest of the musicians trying to get stuff, but not Titus.
People was like, "You cut me checks, so you cut me checks." I'm like, "So this is what the Black text look like?" So I think, yeah, my past not. No, but it was. I'm super grateful for it, and you know, we go to DC and play and speak there. So I'm looking forward to it. My dad was super proud, and Amanda's super proud. Amanda's my fiance, y'all. Super proud. My family super proud. So I'm just humbled that, like, you know, that I was chose for it, and you know that the people really, you know, really roll with me. So that more than anything else, I'm just glad that the community really supports me and like what I'm doing out here, because I'm just trying to, you know, make a better way for people who look like us. So
yeah, that's so awesome. So I might have missed it, but did you say, so does it allow you to do extra touring, or is it just pocket money? I mean, what do they want to see from people who win these awards?
So people who win the grant, I mean, of course, it's an investment in my artistic development. So what I want to do, I mean, if I have more projects or things or equipment, things that I need to help facilitate that, they give you a good cushion so you'll be able to help your vision come to fruition. Because if you really think about it, these visions and stuff takes money. It takes capital to do things when you really want to do something well. And Sphinx is really taking, you know, that by the horns. It's like, you know what, we are here supporting, you know, artists who are not represented, and really, you know, giving them the platform that they need to help boost them up. So kudos and big props to them, big time. So like like I said, like, I would use it for more things that I'm doing, like a Lift Every Voice, make it even higher quality, do different things that I have coming up, you know, websites, things like that, to really reinvent yourself within this space. Because, I mean, that's the thing I've been doing most of the time during this pandemic anyways, is kind of what do I do and what do I have to offer within the new world of the internet and stuff. And how does that transfer into the quote unquote real world when things start happening again in the new normal that we don't know what it looks like yet.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, this is some fantastic stuff. Like, I have a question for you, because a bunch of our audience are up and coming, just young artists, and you know, of course, they're always looking for, just some great advice. Like, what could you give, like, the next generation advice? Like, who wants to be, the next, principal oboist of an orchestra, or just to get in an orchestra, period. Like, what advice do you have, like, for the future generation?
All right, for orchestra, you got to be 2 feet in this audition game. It's difficult for anybody. I don't care what color you are in the orchestra world, audition world. It's a tough game. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for the hyper focus, And I think really believe in what you have. Believe in your gift. I mean, start sounding great now. Don't think I'm gonna start sounding great later. Like, really practice greatness now. Really cherish what you're meant. Find good mentors. Mentorship, I can't stress how much a good mentor is. So find good mentors. If your teacher knows what they're talking about, roll with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen to what they're saying. So I think those types of things and being consistent, this isn't a field that bears fruit very quickly. So, I mean, when it hits, but like it takes time. It isn't like we have this trajectory in which we get the degree and then it's like, hey, I have a master's degree from Juilliard. They'd be like, the hiring line's over there.
Right,
I can't drop my
exactly.
degree somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be. It doesn't transfer into like massive dollars, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, it isn't like people song Save the Last Dance. Welcome to Juilliard. Your life is great. So I think. But one thing I want to talk about in relation to the orchestra field is that I love giving advice to young players, but I want to say something to the orchestra field. Make the process fair. Make screened auditions, actual screened auditions. Screened auditions don't exist. It's very few. The Met and maybe a couple others. They said like 14 orchestras, something like that, really adopt the screen process. I said when we talk about screens, I can't encourage people to go into this on ramp to nowhere. I want it to be a truly fair process. It's like screen like this, like you're putting your hands up, you're facing like this, and you're peeking like, I don't see you. That's the screen process in America.
Right.
So I want to encourage people that if you're going to get into this orchestra game, and I want to encourage all my colleagues to fight for a more fair process. And I want the orchestra to have their ear out to say, we want to solve this issue, make it a fair process. There's no reason to take a screen down in the final round. Why? I haven't heard a great reason yet. So they're like, we might have a bad hire. So you don't have any colleagues that get on your nerves? Not one? Mm-hmm. So, I think, and then we talk about quality when it comes into, young Black artists coming in there. I said it before in other interviews, there's quality and then there's culture. These are two different things. We don't have to talk about quality. So you're saying that every person who's non-Black or maybe white has great quality in the orchestra. You have no colleague that may or may not be white that doesn't play great. I mean, all of us know some people that, are airborne and stuff. So is that quality?
Right.
So I want to get real
like it is.
Right. We need to have honest conversations about how we're going to move this forward before I really, really encourage people to be like, yo, go into the orchestra field. It is great. It is awesome. It is fantastic. I love playing the music, but I do want our systems to be a lot fairer. Otherwise, I do, and I think it would be a lot of, I do have other Black colleagues that have unanswered questions about, finals that they made. They can say it was, or they can say what they don't know, but there are too many unanswered questions because the system hasn't necessarily been completely above board like it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
I think we all know those stories, and so yeah, I mean that's just great. You said that.
It's gonna be a Patreon episode, y'all. Calling everybody out. Just to piggyback on that, talking about next generation, like something I really respect about you, Titus, is that, well, one, you are where you are, and you have overcome so many challenges that probably a lot of other people would have quit or given up or just been like, forget this, I can't do it. But like instead, I feel like, this is from an outsider, okay, just looking in, it's like not only you've overcome it, but you've become like great because of it. So I just want to add, anything you're willing to share for people who are trying to overcome things and kind of think, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like, what keeps you going?
I mean, the thing that keeps me going is like, to be honest, is like my family, my dad who supports me. I mean, my mother passed away and my sister who got me into the business passed away, but I felt like that energy like deposited in me. If I'm getting on like a spiritual tip, I feel very. I mean, of course, it's not the greatest experience to experience, but it makes you it makes you strong if you. And I do think that all my friends and the people who covered me, who've kept me in this game, and I knew that other people watching me. I knew that there were other young Black kids watching me. I knew I was being watched. And I realized that when I started going to like Sphinx or gateways and stuff like that, or Chineke, and I started seeing that people's eyes are on you more than you think they are. Like people are watching more than you think they are. And I knew that I had to push through those barriers because I knew in my heart this is what I wanted to do. And I never forget someone telling me, the thing that kept me going was, I'm not going to let anyone take my gift from me. I may have a crappy day because you get on my nerves, but you can't take away this gift from me. You're not going to get me to the point where I actually become unqualified with my playing. You're not going to get me to that point where I start playing badly. And that's the thing that I understand, that there isn't many places for Black fragility, right? There isn't people saying you got to be twice as good. You got to run twice as fast. You got to jump twice as high. You know, I always say I want to hear some boring Black stories. I want to hear some Titus went to Cleveland, went to Juilliard. He is principal of the Nashville Symphony. You know, I want to get to that point where that isn't there anymore. But what has really helped hold me up was the village of people who have been around me. And I knew exactly what I wanted. So if you know what you want, you go for it. Don't let nobody tell you what you're not good at. You know, be proud of who you are. I never walked my head down just because someone thought that I shouldn't be there. I didn't care. I mean, I'm like, whatever, this may be a bad experience here or there, but I kept my pride of who I was because my parents taught me that when I was really, really young. You know, I was taught my history. I was taught who I was as a Black person in this country. I mean, the good that's happened to us and the bad that's happened to us. So both. But I knew that gave me a cultural anchoring and strength to stand on. That was on the shoulders of people. And me sitting on an air-conditioned stage being antagonized, you know, I mean, I come from the lineage of people who was like sun up to sundown. I mean, I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's 90 degrees at like 10 in the morning. Like, imagine what your life was coming from descendants of slaves. So I think that I have a lot to be proud of because I'm a survivor of a lineage that's strong. So it's very hard to break me. So I won't be broken. And I think that also gives me a voice and strength to stand on. So my parents taught me that's what I've come from. So I can draw on something that's way beyond myself to be able to stand here and say, you know what? This easy, light work. It's like you're in the gym, light work. Let's get it. I have a bigger mission to deal with than deal with the pressure or the horror stories that may surround trying to take my success down. But I'm just pushing and I know where I come from. So I stand on those shoulders, so I feel strong.
I feel strong just listening to you talk. I'm like, that's right. I'm a slave. I'm strong. I just want to tell you, I mean, seriously, you're inspirational, not just for an up and coming generation, but for those of us who have been right with you the whole time. I mean, we look at you too.
Yeah, it's like you win, we all win.
Exactly. Man, this has been so awesome. Yeah. Thank you for putting us on your schedule, Mr. Underwood.
Oh, please. I mean, y'all my favorite people. I'm like, this is my favorite company. Oh, man, when y'all ask me, like, I'm so looking forward to this.
All right.
It's going to be amazing.
So when this episode drops, why don't you tell me about where they can find you, what your new website is, maybe?
Okay, so my new website will be dropping in September. TitusUnderwood.com. So there is no TitusUnderwood.com. That was taking So, and you can find me on Instagram at Titus Oboe. I know that's corny. Titus Oboe. Check me out on Instagram. And also just Titus Underwood on Facebook. So follow me. You'll be able to see what I'm doing and projects that's coming up. And, check me out. Check out Lift Every Voice. Yes. Check out that project, and there's more stuff to come. So just be on the lookout.
Yeah. Awesome. Titus, thanks again, my friend. And everyone, we hope you enjoyed this amazing, inspiring interview with Titus Underwood.
Thank you.
I always like talking to Titus. He has so many great tidbits to share.
Absolutely. He's just so fun to chat with. So if you like what you see, make sure that you share with a friend.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that little bell so you get notifications when we drop a new performance video or interview.
Check us out at the McCain Duo, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel, as Artina just said. And also you can check us out at mccainduo.com.
See you.